So our speaker today, many of you probably don't know her. She's new to the community, and she's just really humble. I heard her talking back there when they were setting up her books and stuff on the back table, and she says, "Well, it's just a love offering." And that's really what she is. She's just a love offering. She is so filled with love, and it just radiates throughout her being. Radiates throughout her being. And she just brings it every week, and you can feel that energy in the room today. And so let's welcome Bonnie Elizabeth.
Thank you for that warm welcome, Mike. And thank you, Sandra Melbaum. Where is she? Oh, there she is right there. And Unity of Salt Lake City for inviting me to speak today. I'm honored to be here, very honored to be here. And I want to thank all of you, beloved friends and family, my community, that I am always so honored and astounded by all of you and who you are. And I know because of the gifts and the talents and the love and the creativity and the magnificence that flows through all of you, that I must be okay. Because they say who you hang around with and surround yourself with, you're kind of like them. So I feel like I must be a little bit of okay. So thank you all for being you, being exactly who you are. I love and adore and cherish all of you, and I am so deeply grateful for your presence in my life. And today, Sandra called me a couple weeks ago to speak, and usually I have a couple months and I prepare a talk and I go over it and write it and memorize it and memorize it and memorize it. And I have been wanting to do a spontaneous talk for a long time, but I've been way too petrified to do it. So today is my spontaneous talk. So I'm honored that you're here for my very first official spontaneous talk. You can say you were your first. And I want to start with a little story because I thought about it on my drive here. I was about 8 years old and I was at camp. And it was just about a week into camp. We'd been tested for swimming and they said, "Oh, Bonnie, you're good enough that you can jump off the diving board." And I'd never jumped off a diving board in my entire life. So at the very end of swimming, they had me go out onto the diving board, and I was 7 or 8, I was pretty little, and they told me I could just jump in. Well, I heard a little voice in my head saying I can't, but I went up anyways, and I stood there, and I didn't move, and people started to collect, and soon there was people kind of around the pool, and I looked over, and there was a whole bunch of people up on the grass in the hill, all staring at me, waiting for me to jump off the diving pool, into the water. And I was frozen. I was scared. And I kept hearing that voice, "I can't." And I looked down. It looked so far down. It looked so scary. I could die. I could die jumping off this diving board. And I didn't jump. I turned around and I went back, kind of with my shoulders down. And all the people kind of, I could hear, and they were disappointed, and they started all walking off. And I was upset with myself that I hadn't jumped. And of course, the next day, I just get up on the diving board and I jump. Nobody was watching, and it was not so scary anymore. I just did it. And this morning, it feels like I'm on the end of that diving board, ready to jump. By not preparing a talk, I could really die by looking like a complete fool. But the difference is, this is what I thought about on my way here, the difference is right now is that before I was surrounded by strangers, I didn't know anybody. It was the first week of camp, I hadn't made any friends yet. And all those people staring at me, I don't know if I killed myself or made myself look like a fool. I didn't know what to think. And now I'm surrounded by all of you. And that makes a difference. I'm surrounded by the most magnificent and profound, astounding people. So I'm jumping. This is my jump. This is my jump. as thoughts kind of came through my mind, I thought I would share with you kind of what's been going on for me in the past year. It started actually at Christiana's Expo last year. I made a commitment to self-love. I signed up for Gary Acevedo's. Sandra came over to my booth and I signed up for Gary Acevedo's Sacred Soul Self class. And I said, I want to make this time about loving myself. And the reason I had done that was because I was in a mentorship with Catherine Dixon, and I got to see how much I didn't love myself. It's the work of Byron Katie is all about questioning your thoughts, looking at your thoughts. Wow. One session, she turned around at me and she said, I had some really pretty harsh thoughts going through my mind. She said, would you ever say that to your daughter, Asia? And I said, and it was a wake-up call. I said, I wouldn't say that to anybody. Anyone. I couldn't even believe how critical that voice was and the things I was saying to myself and that lack of self-love. And we've been doing some turnarounds, and some of the turnarounds were everything in my world, everything became a mirror of you need to love yourself, you need to love yourself. When we question a thought, one of my thoughts was, I need my soulmate now, right now. And we turned it around at the end, I need me now. And I was going on a long trip and I had a thought, I don't want to leave my children. And the thought, we turned it around, I don't want to leave me. It was so much truer. But I don't want to leave me. And I need to be with me right now. And everything started to just mirror. I need to love myself. I need to go within. I need to be here with me now. This is my time to connect deeply with who I am in a loving way. That the way that I was doing it, it just wasn't working. That harsh critic, it really, you think those voices in your head, the only reason we have them is they really do believe that they're helping us, that they're doing good. It may be a voice from the past, who knows, something that but I got that it isn't helping me. It scares me. That harsh voice in my mind scares me and shuts me down, and I don't want to talk like that to myself anymore. It just wasn't fun. But I didn't know how. But I made a commitment, and has anybody made a commitment to something really big? And watch out, watch out, because the whole universe will rearrange and start to help you. So everything started to just rearrange and orchestrate to help me to love myself. And then in January, I had an experience where I had actually, right before this experience, I'd heard of, this was another commitment I had said, I'd heard of the core wound. You can really create a lot of freedom if you get to that core wound inside of you and heal it. And when I heard that, I was like, I want to heal my core wound. I want to heal my core wound. Watch out what you wish for. Watch out what you commit to. Because, boom, I created an experience of deep rejection. I won't go into any story or drama about it, but I felt deeply, profoundly rejected. And I realized this is my core wound. And it was so intense and so deep that I sat there feeling rejected, alone, isolated. The earth had fallen from below, and I was falling apart like a house of cards. And a flash came through my mind, like lightning. And it said, Bonnie, as long as you believe that your source of love, happiness, and security is outside of you, anywhere out there, anywhere, in money, in a man, in another person, in anything, you will always, always suffer. And I got it. And I said, I've got to be be here for me. I have got to be my source of love. And at that moment, I was alone. I felt very isolated, and I was alone. I was in a foreign country. No one spoke my language. There was no services. I was sitting on a balcony, and I was there alone for hours. And I didn't know, how do I be my source of my own love? How in the world, how do I love myself? I'm torn apart, and I'm in the darkness. How do I pull myself up from this sense of rejection and be my source of love? And I sat there. And I sat there and I prayed for help. And that's my little granddaughter. I like the background noise. It's precious. It's music to my ears. It was cute. She's adorable. I know, good timing too. It's getting kind of heavy in here, huh? It's bringing me all back to all those feelings. But we're getting to the release. I sat there and I thought of my friend Corey Mock. And she'd come to my yoga class and she had told me, Bonnie, enjoy how love shows up for you. Enjoy how love shows up for you. Enjoy how love shows up for you. So I'm sitting there all alone. The love that I wanted wasn't there with me. So I said, okay, how's love showing up for me? How's love showing up for me now? And it was a beautiful day. And I started to hear some birds chirp. And I said to myself, oh, the birds are loving me. That's how love is showing up for me right now. The birds are singing to me. That's how love is showing up for me. And I let it in, and I let it in, and I let it in. And I let myself be loved by the birds. And then the soft breeze came over my face, and I love breezes. There's just something about a breeze and being outside. Oh, this is how love is showing up for me now. It's this breeze, and I just felt the breeze, and I just felt how wonderful it felt on my skin and the softness. This is how love is showing up for me now. This is how love is showing up for me right this moment. This is how love is showing up for me. Wow. Wow. And then I saw this flower across the way, and it was just smiling at me, and it was so bright. And oh, look at that flower. It's beautiful. This is how love is showing up for me now. And I started to shift. I started to feel love. I started to shift, and I wasn't anywhere close to where I wanted to be, but I started to shift because I didn't feel alone either, because Corey was with me now, and all of a sudden, what happened is there was a shift inside of me. Is love? I wasn't attached to one person or one way that love had to show up for me. It was like everything, everywhere was surrounding me and loving me. It was everything. Love was everything. And it was whatever was showing up in that moment to bless me, no matter how it looked. That's the way love was showing up for me. And then I thought of Fred Coyote. He's not here today, but I thought of him because we were driving to the hot springs just before I had left on this trip, and he was talking to me about eye gazing. And I had heard about it a little bit, and I'd done just a tiny bit of it. So I went into the mirror in the bathroom, and I looked into my eyes. And I can only do one eye at a time. I don't know about other people, but I was getting a little confused by both eyes. I don't know which one. I don't know what one feels, so I had to do one at a time. So I go and look at one, and I just say, I love you, Bonnie. I love you. And I just send myself love through my heart into that eye. I just send it love, and send it love. And send it love. And I started to fill up even more. And that whole trip, it wouldn't matter what bathroom, whenever I went into a bathroom, I would look at my eyes and I'd say, I love you. I love you. Because I had to find ways to be my own source of love. It had to be coming from me. And so I continued that. And then I thought of Matt Kahn. I had watched The Love Revolution. Who's watched that YouTube? It's profound. And I said, okay, he says, tell your heart I love you. Tell your heart I love you. So I would just chant, I love you, Bonnie, I love you. Send it into my heart. Send it in. Whenever anxiety would come up, or loneliness would come up, or inadequacy would come up, or whatever would come up, I love you, Bonnie. I love you. Loneliness, I love you, Bonnie. I love you, Bonnie. And I would send it in, and I would send it in, and send it into my heart, and send it in. And it would heal my heart. It was profound. I felt my heart expanding, and it was my own love coming in towards me. And it was beautiful. It's beautiful. And then I had talked to my friend Diane Christensen, and she had talked about one thing there's a few things she had said, so I brought her along too. I started bringing everybody along with me. I wasn't alone anymore. And she had said to me, everything you need is already within you. I thought, yeah, everything I need is already within me. How profound is that? And I meditated on that. And she had told me how when she's listening to love songs, she sings them to herself. So I dug up my iPod and I found my love songs, and I started listening the whole rest of the trip. Whenever I had an opportunity. We were driving on a long trip, and it was quiet. I would listen to my iPod, and I would put it on my love songs, my favorite love songs. You know how everyone has a little list of your favorite love songs, but you think of another person. But I would sing them to myself. I would sing them to myself. I bless the day I met you. I'm amazed. And it was so beautiful. You fill up my senses. That's one of my favorite ones. And I sang it to myself. I sang it to myself. And I continued to do this. And continued to do this. All through the trip, bringing all of you in. Sandra had coached me, and there was just so many things that had... Cliff, he sends messages to me every day. And I had actually written some of those down. I would read those. He's profound. I wish I could be at his place. But we're all getting there. And that said, that profound experience, as hard as it was, I realize now that experience of sitting on that balcony alone and feeling rejected actually was one of the greatest gifts I have ever received. It propelled me. It was one of the most painful, but it propelled me. It forced me to see where I am not there for me, and where I can now be there for me. Because there was nobody to talk to. There was no one that spoke my language. There was no cell phone. I just sat out there alone for hours and hours. I had to reach in for me. I had no other choice. So I'm so grateful for all of the people and the circumstances and all of that whole experience, because it propelled me forward into my spiritual growth more than maybe anything in my life. And when I got home, my good friend John Wainsford, he's not here today either, but he usually is here. He and I went on a hike, and it was at Diamond Fork, the hot springs. And at the very last spring, I went in all by myself, and something told me, baptize yourself. Baptize yourself. And I went under the water, and I came up, and I heard, now you live a spontaneous life. Okay. For some reason, it excited me. But I had no idea, not even the tiniest little inkling what that meant or how it looked. And that was, I don't know, 3-4 months ago. I still have no idea what that means or how it looks. But I committed to it in that moment. And it's led me here to have a spontaneous talk. So I don't... So the one thing I love about that commitment is I don't have to figure things out. I can let this thinker relax a little bit. And it allows me to be more in the present moment. I can't say that I've been successful completely with it, because the mind comes in and wants to plan and wants to figure things out. And then when I catch it, I'm lucky enough to catch it, I'll say, I don't need to figure anything out. I don't need to figure anything out. I need to trust life, trust spontaneous life, that everything will take care of itself. And I'm fully committed to following my prompts. It's not that I do nothing. It's that I'm really fully committed to following what guides me and prompts me in the moment. That's the only thing I know about spontaneous life right now. Is if it feels true to commit to something, I'll commit to it. Like speaking today, it felt true. But a lot is up in the air, and I'm enjoying it. It scares me sometimes, and I still don't know what it looks like. But it's where my life's headed. Where that is, I don't know how that looks, I don't know. But it is headed into a spontaneous life. And from that experience, what a spontaneous confession popped up one night when I was having dinner with friends. I didn't go to dinner with these friends saying, I'm going to tell you everything, all the skeletons are going to come out. They probably would not have had dinner with me. Well, we were halfway through dinner, and I don't know what happened, but spontaneously, I just started crying, and I just let it all out of the bag. It was like confession, like at the Catholic Church when you go to confession. But I had never gone to the confession. I kind of grew up Catholic. Christmas and Easter, we go to church. So I don't know if I can actually call myself a Catholic or not, but that's my, not every Christmas and Easter either, but I had heard a confession, and all of a sudden, just everything. And it was the most healing experience I have ever had in my life, because the shame and the guilt inside of me, it just doesn't have the same hold, because I thought like the next day they wouldn't want to talk to me. They wouldn't like me anymore. So I called my friend, and I'm not going to tell you who it is because a lot of you know this person. So you can go and find out all my dirty secrets from her. So I'm not going to tell you that. But I called them up, and I said, do you guys still love me? Are you still my friends after you know all my dirty secrets, all my dirty laundries hung out from you? And they said, I love you more. I love you more, Vaughn. And I was just silent. I couldn't even believe it. I told him all the dirtiest, the worst of the worst that I told him things I had never told any human being in my life, that I had held inside with guilt and shame, that I had never told a soul. And they loved me more because wow. That was a great spontaneous experience. And of course that led to another, which was my retreat, which was I had to leave a lot of people, and I apologize for that. But my life is busy, and it seemed any time I left, I'd have to leave somebody in the cold. So everything inside of me was, you gotta go away, you've gotta go away, you've gotta get alone, you've gotta be by yourself, you've gotta go. And it's pulling me and sucking me in, and I'm trying to fight it. No, I don't want to go away alone, but I had to. So I went up to Lava Hot Springs. I was only going to go for like a week or two, but when I got there, the cabins that I had reserved it was very cold. It got down to in the 40s at night. They had no heat. The electricity was like a little cord hanging from the ceiling that wasn't quite working right. And I had all this juice because I was going to juice, and there was no refrigerator, and the bed barely fit in. I wouldn't have been able to do my yoga. And so I had no place, so it was spontaneous. I went and knocked on all the doors through Lava, and no hotels had room because it was the weekend. It was a Dances of Peace, and it was a big weekend. And I fortunately, spontaneously found this place to rent for a month that was beautiful. Refrigerator, heat, the other place didn't even have hot water for hot showers, so it was definitely out. It was not going to work. So I felt very grateful, but I rented it for a month. And so my journey was a little longer than I expected. But I needed the time, because it gave me time I had time to be with myself. And everything started to collapse in. It wasn't even me doing it. It was something happening through me. It just started collapsing in and collapsing in and collapsing in. And like Peggy was saying, go within. It was get quiet, go within. And I started to realize what Cliff had always been telling me. End the search. All the teleseminars, all the books, all the classes, all the meditations. I've been going out and going out. What am I searching for? What am I going out for? It's like the alchemist. He goes all over the world looking for the pot of gold. And he realizes at the very end it's in his own backyard. All alone. But sometimes we need those travels. We need to go out. Because it started to get to every teleseminar I'd listened to, everything was flat. It wasn't working for me anymore. I had to go a different direction. I had to figure out a new way. And it was going in and getting quiet. Because what I've been searching for my whole life, my whole entire life, was me. Was me. The true me. Not all the feelings, not the person, not the thoughts, not the mind, not what I look like, none of that. None of those superficial, ever-changing, constantly moving and flowing things that aren't even me. It's that permanent, ever-present silence, stillness, expansiveness, emptiness. So during that trip, I got to a point where I had a pendulum that I got at the Consciousness Expo, and I was so excited about this pendulum because I'd never really used them before. And I was asking some questions, and then I asked a question, and I realized that it was wrong because it gave me an answer, and then a few hours later, I found out that the answer was incorrect. And I like lost it in my mind. I lost it. I was like, no way. Nothing is true. I took a fit. I was having a fit on myself. I said, I can't believe it. Psychics aren't true. Nothing's true. The religion, science isn't true. They said the world was flat a few years ago. This pendulum isn't true. What can I depend on for a true answer? What is true? What can be true all the time? Now, pendulums are true sometimes. Psychics are true sometimes. Even science is true sometimes. It's ever changing, but it's true sometimes. Religion, well, I mean, go over past the years. It's changed a lot itself. What can I depend on that's true? And I sat down with my notebook, and I must have gone through an entire notebook. Journaling, nope, canceling everything out. Nope, that won't work, that's not true, nope. Because I said, what is always true? Always true. Not just sometimes, but always, always, always true. Because I don't want to depend on anything that this pendulum's always, almost always, but once in a while it may not be true. That's not secure. I'm not going to put my faith in that. Throw out the pendulum. I threw it out. Out into the river in Lava Hot Springs. If anybody wants to find one somewhere out there. But you don't need it. I went through everything. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything in this world that's true. Always true, all the time. That's ever-presently true, constantly true, permanently true. And I also asked, what's always loving? What's always love? What's always good? Always true? That never changes. Couldn't find anything. Math was kind of close, but it's ever-changing and always evolving as well. But math was math, and then I figured out, in this world, the only thing I could find in this world that is true was this now moment. How it occurred. Now, my memory, of the moment past was not true. I remember watching a show, and I'd seen it a few times. And I remember watching this scene. I had remembered it completely different. These two people were sitting in a different place. I thought I'd remember that scene, and I'm like, wow, they're standing in the apartment. They're not sitting in his apartment. They're in her apartment. The whole thing I remember differently. So I can't trust the past to be true. My memory of the past, it's skewed the next moment. It's already skewed. I can't trust my mind to think of the future to be true. What my mind concocts up for the future is not true. Just have to say, it is not true. My daughter and Asia and I had this conversation one time. She said, I go somewhere and I have this vision of how it's going to look, and it doesn't turn out anything like it. I can't tell you how many times I went to a party or I went to a retreat and I was absolutely certain that I was going to meet that one true love. And it didn't happen. So my mind, thinking about and projecting what's going to happen in the future, is not a reliable source. It is not 100% true. But what's right here, right now, what's occurring in this moment, and how it's occurring in this moment is true. It doesn't lie. This moment, as it arises, exactly as it arises, whether we like it or not, it is absolutely true. But it's not ultimate truth. Because I had gone through this journaling, and I got to that point of the moment is the most closest thing I can find to truth in this entire universe. And I went into a meditation from this place of let's just be in the moment. Let's just enjoy what is arising, how love is arising right now. This is the closest thing I can find right now to truth. So let's just be here. Let's just be here in this moment. And just let it be exactly as it is. Don't resist it. Don't need to change it. There's nothing wrong with it. This moment, allow it to be exactly as it is. And I went into meditation. And I went past all the thoughts and all the personality and all the mind and everything about me that was ever changing. I just stayed in the moment. And there was this ever-present silence, stillness. It was me. That I can't ever describe. It was profound. It was beyond experience. It was beyond an experience. But I could say maybe experience would be the closest word I could use. More of a state of being. State of being. It was so deep. So silent. I needed to get so quiet and so still. It was like always there, permeating like, what? How did I miss this? Well, of course you've been searching out here for it. You've been so busy. You haven't really stopped long enough. To be with me, the infinite self, that incomprehensible mystery that is all of us. It's all of us. It's what you are. It's profound. What we are, all of us, is infinitely profound, indescribable, incomprehensible. The power that it was an unmanifest state. It was before anything had manifest, but it's always present. And it's always here within all the manifest. And I could see that everything, this physical body, every tree, every cloud, everything in the entire universe arose from me. You, what we are. This incomprehensible mystery. It was like I came home. I came home. And I didn't want to go. I just wanted to stay there. And I was lying down and I didn't want to go. It was so profound. And I had to go to the bathroom. I was in this for hours, literally hours. Because I looked at the clock and I think maybe 6 or 7 hours had gone by. It was a timeless place. It was a complete timeless experience, and I didn't know how long, but it was hours. Because when I looked at the clock, it had been probably 6 hours. I had just basked in this nectar that was me. It was what I really am. It's not a person. It's everything. It's everything. It's what we are. What we all are. The truth. That was the truth that I had been seeking. It can't be described. It's so far beyond words or experience or thought or mind. It's not thoughts. It's ever present. It's within each of and every one of us all the time, right now. And I just rested in the truth. And then I had to go back. and I had that day. It stayed with me. I walked, and that whole day I just stayed. I could tell I was the silence. I knew I was the silence which every sound arose from. I was the stillness which all life arose from. We all are. That's what we all are. And then the next day, something had come up, and I got upset. What happens? And it was almost as if like the person came back. The person came back, and I was like, oh, something offended me here. I don't even remember what upset me, but and I wasn't happy about that. I didn't feel so good about that. And so the next day, I went back. I actually meditated again. I went back there. And it was profound. And then a couple days later, the person came back again. That person came back. I was a person again. I believed I was a person again. And I started feeling not so good. And that harsh voice kind of waved me, why can't you just stay in there all the time? I mean, what good is it if you come back and be, you're back in conflicts? And then I realized that I always have that with me. Because I dipped in, it's always there. I know now it's ever present. It's the canvas in which the art is created from. It's so omnipresent that we overlook it, but it's always there. And I can love myself because I've got Corey and I've got Cliff and I've got Sandra to remind me and my daughter Isha. I can go back to not listening to that critic voice and say, you went there. And that's okay that you came back as a person. That's okay. Because you're living a spontaneous life. You're doing the best you can. And I'm not in charge. So if a person comes back, I guess a person's supposed to come back. And if I'm upset, I guess I'm supposed to feel upset right now. And just love myself when I'm upset. And be my best comforter. I say, I love you, Bonnie. You're upset. Talk to me about it. Tell me how you're feeling. Let's go and gaze in your eyes. So that all evolved and brought me here today and having a spontaneous talk. And I did have a channeling from my friend Keith just a couple nights ago. And it was very exciting because in the channeling it said that there's a person in my life that I'm gonna need to let go of, and that's gonna be okay. And so I started thinking about some ex-boyfriends, and then he says, no, it's no ex-boyfriends. You don't have to let go of any ex-boyfriends. And then I said, that's good. I was glad about that. Because I don't want to let any of them go. I want to love them all. I'm friends with them all. I do love them all of them. And even when I feel like I don't love them, you know what I've been doing? I go up to where our souls exist. And I go into the truth. Because I've just been so committed to truth. Because the voice inside is, oh, he did this, he did that, he did this, he did... Well, what's the truth? That's not the truth. And I've gone up into the soul realm, and I feel both of our souls, and there's so much love between our souls. And that whatever has ever occurred and scripted into this physical world was all perfect. And we both agreed and we both planned. But our souls love each other so much. So I'm glad I don't have to get rid of them. Let go of the exes. So then I asked, is someone gonna die? I have to let somebody go. Maybe this means someone in my life that I love is gonna die. And my spirit guide said, no, nobody's gonna die. So I said a couple of other people that maybe I need to let go of, and he said no, and I don't know who it is. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm clueless. And then I went on a hike, because that's what I like to do, is go on hikes. You ever can't find me? Go up the Wasatch Mountains. I'm on one of the trails, because every moment I have a free time, that's where I go. I love long walks. I have been doing long, long walks in nature since I was 3 years old, and I used to beg my grandmother to go see the peacock. And it's a nice little walk through the woods to see the peacock. And on my walk, that static. Is that this thing? And on my walk, up in the Wasatch Mountains, I got it. I knew immediately who that person was. And I was so ecstatic. I was so overwhelmingly happy. Because what was said to me is that that person will be let go on, and it will be easy, and it will be a celebration. But don't worry, it'll just happen naturally. That person is me. That's the person I need to let go of. And I felt so much joy and so much relief, because that was going to be a spontaneous happening that's going to occur soon for me, is that the person's going to be gone. And I can't think of anything more ecstatic, more freeing. And I can't think of anything I would rather want than that I want more. There's nothing in all the universe that I would want more than to let go and release the person that I think I am. Because it imprisons me, and I felt what it experienced, and that state of being, everything, unmanifest, unborn, infinite, eternal, grace, and indescribable. I can't put it into words, but there was no person. And it was really nice. And I know that the person will go now, and I know that I won't die. I mean but there'll be a freeing up somewhere. I'm not sure how it's going to look, but I'm excited about it. And I know that with all of us, we are exactly where we're supposed to be. Doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And we're all walking each other home, walking each other home. We're all the same. We are all that unborn, unmanifest, infinite grace beyond comprehension. That's the truth within all of us, the truth within all of us. And those voices that tell us that we're inadequate or we can't do things, that's just not even the truth. It's not the truth. And I am committed now to listen and be in truth. So I can't listen to those voices anymore. And I invite everybody here to commit to truth. However that looks for you and however that evolves for you. Just commit to truth. The truth within you. The magnificence within you. Because what you are is so profound. And that profound, infinite space, that emptiness, that unmanifest, when the manifestation of the person arises, that's profound. Because then that infinite grace can just completely take over. I've prayed for about 5 years every day, many, many times a day, take over my life. Be you in charge, take over my life. And that's why I was so happy that the person's going to be gently let go of. So for all of you, I just want to let you know today that I love you so much. And that you are everything. And there's nothing to seek that isn't already within you. Everything is within you. You're profound. The physical expression is profound. The gifts and talents that flow through you is profound. And the deepest truth of your being is truly an incomprehensible mystery that is so magnificent, so ever-present, so permanent, ever with you. You are, every single one of you. And this is how I want to close. And I want you to never forget it. I don't want you to ever forget it. And I don't even care if you repeat it all day long, 100 times a day, because it's true. You are astounding. Astounding grace. You are astounding. Each and every one of you, no human being is excluded from this message. You are infinitely astounding. You are pure love. Infinite, eternal, pure, immense love. There is only love and innocent confusion. Nothing else. The love that you are is astounding. So if you are ever feeling a little anxious, which the person does, this person gets anxious. I was very anxious before this talk. If you're ever feeling a little inadequate, or you're worried about something not coming to pass, or having enough money to pay this certain bill or whatever, I just wish and hope that maybe my contribution and my talk today could help you by you remember to love your heart and tell your heart and tell every part of your being that you are astounding. Astounding. Nothing less. Infinitely astounding. And that doesn't even touch what you are. That's the tip of the iceberg of what your astoundingness is. I am honored by you all. Profoundly grateful.